Donald Trump is reaping what he sowed. His MAGA base is demanding a release of all of this information, and Democrats agree with Donald Trump's MAGA base. He's alone in a corner right now, blocking the release of this information.
In a corner. I think that the senator from Massachusetts meant to say the word corner. They're not very good at articulating certain words in the English language in Massachusetts. Gesundheit. And a very good Tuesday to you. Welcome back once again. We continue to be reached at 888-630-9625. Ed Markey, Democrat. Oh, yeah, Trump's really trapped himself now. He's got to release the Epstein files. He's got to release that client list, the Jeffrey Epstein client list, because the Democrats are now, their only talking point is Trump's on the list. This has already been dealt with. It's already been very publicly negotiated and long ago. But the Democrats don't care because, you know, like one of their predecessors in Germany in the 1930s used to say, a lie told once remains a lie told 1,000 times becomes the truth. That's, of course, Joseph Goebbels. Or as the Reverend Al Charlatan likes to say, Gurgle. It could be their boy Gurgle because, again, they use the words, but they don't know what they mean.
Did I hear you correctly say that perhaps he was influenced by Gurgle?
Could have been Gurgle. The Reverend Al. He's a $1 million. He makes 7 figures every year. Those are his clothes that he's presumably, maybe, I don't know. I'll have to check on that and get back to you. But welcome back once again. And I want to, that's Ed Markey, Democrat, Massachusetts, say, oh, yeah, Trump, he's really going to regret this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing because now, and I got to tell you, they're walking into a trap once again. Why is Chuck Schumer not pounding the table and yelling about this? Why is Nancy Pelosi? She's a woman, and I think she identifies it. She identifies as one that changes a lot. And her husband, I wonder how her husband Paul is. He was hit in the head with a hammer by an illegal alien from Canada at their house in San Francisco, a multi-million-dollar hilltop mansion where they reside quite humbly, of course. They do so very well on Wall Street. And it's got nothing to do with insider trading, which is really amazing, isn't it? Isn't that great? That's great stuff. So we got that. But let me get back to the Jeffrey Epstein, because the Democrats, they're insane, I think, and mentally ill. And if you're a Democrat, you might be insane. You might be mentally ill. Have you given it serious consideration? Because, you know, we have help for things like this now. All kinds of. I've also got an Adam Schiff story, because there's a big Adam Schiff story. President Trump put out a Truth Social statement about Adam Schiffless, and he did this about 1 hour ago. President Trump on Truth Social, and it's going wild on Al Gore's amazing internet. Peace be upon him. And President Trump on Truth Social said, he tweeted out, and it's popping up all over the place, Adam Schiffless, you know Adam Schiffless, the most dishonest person in Washington, not just man, the most dishonest person in Washington, Adam Schiffless. He's the one who lied 50 times a day about the dossier, you know, Hillary Clinton's dossier and the Steele dossier. He lied and lied and lied about Russian collusion at every possible turn. Every time he appeared 45 times a day on CNN and other members of the Circle Fest in a hot tub have him on television to lie and lie and lie. And he lies. Boy, he lies like a pro. And the news media, they cozy up to him and they snuggle and they lay on their sides and wrap their arms and legs around one another. They're dating because they love lying. They're apparently raised by their parents to be liars. And then they found journalism. And it's like, hey, this is perfect for me. This is unbelievable. Hand, meat, glove. Just extraordinary. But Adam Schiffless, back to Adam Schiffless. And then we'll get to Jeffrey Epstein and the Democrats, because I think this will come back to bite them once again. And President Trump may even be luring them in, and that could be fun. But President Trump on Adam Schiffless. President Trump wrote this morning on Truth Social, I have always suspected Shifty Adam Schiff was a scam artist. And now I learn that Fannie Mae's Financial Crimes Division have concluded that Adam Schiff has engaged in a sustained pattern of possible mortgage fraud. Mortgage fraud. Adam Schiff said that his primary residence was in Maryland to get a cheaper mortgage and rip off America, when he must live in California because he was a congressman from California. I always knew Adam Schiff was a crook. The fraud began with the refinance of his Maryland property on February 6th, 2009. It's too bad it's not January 6th. It'd be more fun if it were. But it's February 6th, 2009, and continued through multiple transactions until the Maryland property was correctly designated as a second home on October 13th of 2020. Now let's just think about this for a moment. Maryland is one of the most high-tax states in the United States of America. But one of the states that is much more high-tax is California. So the California leftist is trying to dodge California property taxes. Primary residence not in California. Now my primary residence is in Maryland because that's where I do the majority of my lying. I lie and I lie and I lie, mostly in Maryland. So I'm going to put that down. But President Trump says that Maryland property was, the fraud began with the refinance Maryland property in 2009, continued through multiple transactions, till the Maryland property was then correctly designated as a second home in 2020. So that's, about 11 years there. Isn't that amazing? Mortgage fraud is very serious, and crooked Adam Schiff, now a senator, needs to be brought to justice. Brought to justice. And so that's Schiffless, Adam Shifty Schiff, and he is really a piece of work. I'm on the radio. A piece of work. So breaking news all over the place. President Trump announces Adam Schiff may have committed mortgage fraud based on a report from Fannie Mae's Financial Crimes Division. And that's not a Trump administration outlet. That's Fannie Mae. They are independent enough, and they're not at the beck and call of President Trump or any Republicans. So we got that. President Trump accuses scam artist Adam Schiff of mortgage fraud in stunning attack. Must be brought to justice. Left-wing media having a conniption. Have you ever had a conniption? I don't think I've ever seen you have a conniption. That's pretty amazing stuff. Isn't that great? Wah, wah, wah. Just great. So Adam Schiff. Oh, yeah, my primary residence, and the law is if you're a California congressman, your primary residence has to be California. Can't be a congressman from California and live in France. Can't be a congressman from California and live in Florida, where you save a lot more taxes. But he settled for Maryland, where even though it's a high-tax state, it's not as bad as California. Isn't that great? That's fun. And President Trump has lit the fuse on Adam Schiffless, and I think that's great. All right, now let's get back to the Democrats, because the Democrats, quite suddenly, they're very interested in the Jeffrey Epstein file. And I talked about this yesterday. I think I even talked about it last week. The Democrats, they lie about everything. Every Democrat in the country. If they're women, they lie to their husbands or to their wives, because they're Democrats. And if they're men, then they lie to their wives or their husbands because they're Democrats. And it's kind of whack-a-doodle-doo out there. Whack-a-doodle-doo. But the Democrats now think, oh, yeah, we're gonna raise hell. And this is what they're going to have to start firebombing Jewish houses and some maybe self-immolating. We haven't had a good self-immolation lately, a good Democrat self-immolation lately. But I want to play for you because, Congressman Hank Johnson, who is the guy who's Imagine a World Without Balloons, and he was concerned that if the United States Marine Corps moved too many Marines to one side of, I think it was the island of Iwo Jima, that the island would flip over. The island would flip over like it's a raft in the ocean or a frisbee in a swimming pool. It might flip over. But Hank Johnson, not the brightest man in the world, they really have rejected science, haven't they? They don't know how many genders there are. They don't know what a woman is, like the Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who's a woman. I'm here to tell you, Ketanji, you're a woman. I can identify women every time, 100% of the time. But and they play dress up and make believe, which they like doing. But never mind that. But Hank Johnson, he's famously stupid, and a Democrat member of the United States House of Representatives from Georgia again and again and again. And he was terrified in a hearing, trying to imagine a world without balloons, and he didn't want Marines to too many Marines to go to Okinawa, where I'd have to look it up. But it was because if they all went to one side of the island, which is not attached to the bottom of the ocean, because it's not a volcanic island that burgeoned up from the surface of the Pacific Ocean, it's just kind of floating out there like a raft.
My fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
Yeah. I remember the look on the face of the admiral that was testifying. I think he was the commander in the Pacific, the Cinque Pac. And the admiral looked around, kind of wondering, is he joking? Was that a joke? Did he just say that? And no, he wasn't joking. The admiral, I think finally, after looking around and trying to make sure that it wasn't a prank, said, that's not a concern, Congressman. That's not a concern. Because I am a scientist. I am a biologist. I am a marine biologist. I'm a geologist. I'm all these things, at least compared to you. Isn't that amazing? But Hank Johnson, he's jumped into the fray because he wrote a song recently. He just started playing guitar a couple of months ago, and he wrote a really bad song that we played for you maybe a month ago or so, a couple of months ago perhaps. But now he's got a new song about releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files, except he doesn't know Jeffrey Epstein's name. He calls him Epstone. He calls him Jeffrey Epstone.
Congressman Hank Johnson coming to give you some more ear candy or perhaps an earache. But I'm going to do my best off of this Jason Isbell tune, Dreamsicle.
Dreamsicle.
Died by suicide. Believe that and you must be blind.
He didn't die by suicide.
You released the file, but where are they? We've gone along with what's been told. We've had plenty of time, you're in control. But now you say you will withhold the Epstein file.
There he is.
Dreamsicle on a summer night.
Dreamsicle on a summer night. Uh-huh.
Trump's howling at the moon. Release the Epstein files soon.
Release the Epstein files. Release the Epstein files. He should be tossed out of Congress just for saying Epstein when the whole song is supposed to be about Epstein. The guy has the IQ of an inanimate object. He is as intelligent as several pieces of furniture that I own. Just an amazing, amazing guy, isn't he?
Imagine, Mr. Speaker, a world without balloons.
I'm trying to do that right now. I am. There he is. He's a member of Congress, the United States of America, not some third world joke of a nation that everybody makes fun of, but the Democrat Party in the United States of America. And Epstein, the whole point of the song is the Epstein files, and he calls him Epstein because every day is an IQ test, and every day Hank Johnson fails. We've got Hakeem Jeffries coming up. He's not on our side either. He wants the Epstein. Now they all want the Epstein file. And I got to tell you, President Trump's going to outsmart him again. I can feel it coming from way back here. You know that big wireless, that cell phone people, they're pulling one over on all of us. And it's time to switch. Get away from them. Go to Consumer Cellular. I switched, and I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide big wireless coverage without the big wireless cost. But it's not just about saving money on my bill. It's about not being used and abused by the big, terrible cell phone carriers? Do you even know how much data you use every month? Probably not. I don't think I know. Most people over 50 use less than 8 gigs of data every month, but if you're 19 years old, you might use 500 gigs, certainly 50 gigs. Man, the big wireless companies, they shove you into an unlimited plan because they need you to pay more money to cover the cost of 19-year-olds that are using 10 times as much data as you. It's redistribution of data wealth. And, you're not using all that data, then you're the one being used by the big phone companies. Had enough of that stuff. And Consumer Cellular can fix that. Listen, they set me up with a service and a phone to try, and the phone is just amazing. It's really easy to switch. You call and you talk to an actual human being based right here in the United States. Imagine that. Not a bot in the Philippines, but, the people are actually helpful. They speak to you. And it only takes about 20 minutes, saves you a lot of money and a lot of bad stuff. So give them a call today and make the switch. Call 1-800-760-0702. 1-800-760-0702. Yes, sir. Bum-ba-da-dum. That's what a real guitar sounds like, unlike Hank Johnson's guitar. Not good. And who's that Epstein guy he's talking about?
I hate to hurt your ears and everything, but I'm just learning to play guitar.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. All right, so I've got a lot of stuff on this Epstein. The Democrats have decided to launch a jihad, as they're so fond of doing. Now, the Democrats tried to introduce an amendment to a bill having to do with cryptocurrency, in a rules committee vote. And the Republicans, all the Republicans in the committee, said, I'm not voting for your ridiculous amendment when we're talking about cryptocurrency having to do with releasing Epstein files. So the Rules Committee voted 7-5 to block Representative Ro Khanna's amendment, would have forced a House vote demanding Attorney General Pam Bondi release the Epstein files. All 7 no votes were Republicans. There were 5 yes votes. One of them was a Republican, and 4 of them were Democrats. But now the Democrats have decided to make an issue of this. So I've got a plan for the White House and for Pam Bondi. This is the Democrats. The Democrats politicize everything from the weather to your children's gender to everything else, and they're certainly going to politicize this. But you know that the overwhelming majority of people on the Epstein list are Democrats, and a lot of them well known. Why is Chuck Schumer not demanding the release of the documents? Why is Nancy Pelosi not demanding the release? Coming up. CNN has all kinds of breaking news. CNN is breaking news now. They say that the White House tells them that FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino is staying. But wait, for now. So that covers all your bases there. They, staying for now. But CNN's all over that, aren't they? And CNN also, they're not a news organization. They're all over Jeffrey Epstein. And I got to tell you, I want to play some audio for you, and then I have a plan. I think what the White House should do, the Justice Department should do, is clear. It's plain for all to see. Because the Democrats they've decided that the Jeffrey Epstein, the name, is going to be good for them politically. So they're going to start firebombing the political landscape, as the party of the Klan is fond of doing. So let's go to some of our audio here, Michael. We remain at 888-630-9625. We did play Hank Johnson singing his song. He's just learning to play the guitar, and he thinks that Jeffrey Epstein's name is Epstone, which Michael Piercy and I were talking about this. And it's true, if this were an episode of the Flintstones, then he would definitely be Jeffrey Epstein, right? And Mr. Slate would call him into the office and give him a good chewing out. But Hank Johnson, he is not the brightest man. Boy, is he not.
Trump's howling at the moon.
Who's howling at the moon?
Epstein files soon.
Release the Epstein files soon. It's he's one of their lead guys in the Democrat Party. Release the Epstein files. Yeah. We were sharing this video this morning back and forth on a text thread, and I got back and I said, excuse me, but did he call him Epstein? And come in? But yeah, I just listened to it. I listened to it 3 times. It's definitely Epstein. It's Epstein. And maybe that's because Hank Johnson is living in an episode of the Flintstones. That could be. All right, now let's go, because Hakeem Jeffries, he hates the Jews, doesn't he? And, oh yeah, there's a hearing on Capitol Hill today with university presidents coming in to explain why they're running these Nazi death camps that they call fancy universities, like UC Berkeley. Crazy people go. But Hakeem Jeffries, he was mentored growing up by his uncle, Professor Leonard Jeffries, who is an extremist and a jihadi and hates the Jews, genocidal anti-Semite, and the mentor to the Democrat leader in the House of Representatives. Fits in perfectly, doesn't it? Yes, it does. And so I've got a number of sound bites that I want to share with you. Amazing stuff. And the Democrats, again, now they're pushing. They had a bunch of clowns in the Rules Committee in the House of Representatives, Ro Khanna being one of them, and I got some audio of him coming up, says, well, we're talking about cryptocurrency, and he said, I want to put an amendment in to the cryptocurrency legislation that would demand that the Department of Justice and the Trump White House release the Jeffrey Epstein files. I was like, well, and completely unrelated news. And let's put in another amendment that would expel Ro Khanna from the United States of America and strip him of his citizenship. Well, we're just throwing amendments in on a completely unrelated piece of legislation, which is not unheard of, but it's still ridiculous. And all 7 Republicans voted no. So the Democrats are now saying GOP stands for Guardians of Pedophiles. Yeah, not bad. Right off the top of their heads there. But 7 Republicans voted against the amendment, and 1 Republican voted for it. And now the Democrats are saying, aha, see, what do you have to hide? What are the Republicans hiding? The Jeffrey Epstein list. And it's the Democrats making hay, and then the news media, they will carry any lie, no matter how absurd. And they're all over this. Oh, no. Congresswoman Fishback voted against it, and who else? 7 Republicans voted against it, and what, 4 Democrats voted in favor of it because they want an amendment in the legislation. This is how you put a poison pill in a piece of legislation. So then the Republicans will end up voting against the cryptocurrency bill because the Democrats dropped this totally unrelated amendment in there. And if you vote for the overall bill, then you vote for this. This is the cancer that is the Democrat Party. It's an amazing group of people that they've gathered, isn't it? But the Eric Swalwell, you know him, he has had and I assume still having a long-time sexual affair with a Chinese intelligence operative who goes by the name Fang Fang. She's the honeypot sent to corrupt and co-opt a willing Krupnik, Eric Swalwell, when he was a city councilman in California. And the Chinese Communist Party elevated him, raised money for him, organized for him, got him to the U.S. House of Representatives, got him on the Intelligence Committee, where he could be a lot of help as a Chinese spy because of his honeypot Fang Fang. Not saying she's not attractive, she's a Chinese communist intelligence operative. And Eric Swalwell tweeted, "This is it. Today at 1:30 p.m., Congress votes whether to release the Epstein files or keep them secret. Really, Congress is voting on that at 1:30 today? I think he's lying about that. How will Republicans vote? I don't know. Let's ask the Chinese Communist government how you're going to vote, since they're your controllers, Eric Swalwell. So that's it. How will Republicans vote? Isn't it amazing? Yeah, but last night, 7 Republicans voted against Ro Khanna's poison pill amendment, having nothing to do with cryptocurrency. But if this is the game, and this is the game they've decided to play, when they're not firebombing Jewish governors' houses and shooting at federal law enforcement officers and all the things that Democrats do. And here comes Hakeem Jeffries, not exactly pro-American. And suddenly, the Jeffrey, as the Democrats say, the Jeffrey Epstein matter is very important to the Democrats quite suddenly.
The American people deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Clever.
As it relates to this whole sordid Jeffrey Epstein matter. Democrats didn't put the Jeffrey Epstein thing into the public domain.
That's a lie.
This was a conspiracy that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, and these MAGA extremists have been fanning the flames of for the last several years.
That's a lie.
And now the chickens are coming home to roost.
I think I know the location of the chickens in your case. Amazing. Isn't that great? The NBC News people, Democrats put aside previous misgivings to hit Trump over Jeffrey Epstein files. But what are their previous misgivings, NBC Fake News? One-time concerns over fanning Epstein-related conspiracy theories have faded as Democratic candidates, members of Congress, and party accounts attack Trump to seek to divide MAGA. Well, that's true. That's what they're saying. They're not looking for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Hakeem Jeffries is a psychopathic liar, and he's a Democrat hack, and he's a Jew hater from way back. He's a typical Democrat. Hakeem Jeffries.
The American people deserve to know the truth. What, if anything, is the Trump administration and the Department of Justice hiding? What are you hiding? If you're not hiding anything, prove that to the American people. And if you are trying to hide something, then the Congress should actually work hard to try to uncover the truth for the American people.
All right, here's my that's it. And then there's Ro Khanna. I mentioned Ro Khanna because he's going off on this too. He's a Democrat member of Congress from California. Not a good American, not on our side. He's a leftist and a fraud and a charlatan, like the Reverend Al Charlatan, who's an NBC journalist as well. And Ro Khanna, where did he go? CNN? Oh, I apologize. This is the House floor. Ro Khanna, he suddenly, this was the phony amendment, and this was in committee. He just went to the House floor to showboat.
I introduced today an amendment demanding the full release of the Epstein files. The Speaker's Rules Committee should demand a vote tomorrow of every member of Congress. Yes, we should release it, or no, we should not. This is a question of whose side are you on? Are you on the side of protecting the rich and the powerful, or are you on the side of the people?
The rich and the powerful. Aren't we talking about underage girls and in that pedophilia? And I like the GOP thing. That's not bad. The rich and the powerful. Well, the rich and the powerful with some peculiar habits, to say the least. Ro Khanna, he really cares.
The Attorney General said on her desk was the Epstein file. And now she's saying, no, nothing to see. Don't release it. This is a question of trust. We need to release the Epstein files so we can restore government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And every member of Congress tomorrow should be forced to vote.
Of the people, by the people, and for the people from Ro Khanna. And the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth from Hakeem the Jihadi Jeffries. And they couldn't be more trite, more canned, more fabricated. And all right, here's my plan. Now here's my suggestion for the White House. Okay, announce that this afternoon at the White House briefing, or perhaps at 2:00 this afternoon when there's an opening, You could have President Trump come out, or you could have the wonderful White House press secretary come out and announce, okay, the Democrats are now suddenly and unexpectedly, not the Democrat leadership in Congress, but now that the Democrats are pounding the table and saying, we demand the release of the Epstein documents, President Trump could come out with a stack of papers, maybe a folder, a 3-ring binder. Got binders filled with women, like Mitt Romney, and come out and say, all right, well, we're not prepared to release the entire client list, but here's one. And name a high-profile Democrat member of Congress, House or Senate, maybe a governor. Just find a high-profile Democrat and say, here, we may not be able to release everything all at once because it has to be vetted, which is a lot of bourgeois, of course. Everything has been combed through for years. But say, here is name number 1, and let them just go crazy about that, and let that one person whose name is released, let's say, just for discussion purposes, that it's Hakeem Jeffries, who flew on Jeffrey Epstein's airplane to Epstein Island and spent a couple of weekends back there and came home and had to take antibiotics for 2 weeks. Let's just say you got that. Release that and say, all right, so this is what we have for you today. We should have more for you tomorrow. And then tomorrow, one more Democrat's name. And if you've got the names of 40 Democrats that over the years flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, flew to Jeffrey. It should only be Epstein Island, I think, unless there are things I don't know, which is quite possible because I haven't followed this very closely. But come out and make an announcement of one name, and, it's a Democrat. Now what do you want? Isn't that amazing? Let's do that. I don't think the Democrats will like that. Then they'll start screaming and singing a different tune, and they'll sound like Hank Johnson singing a different tune. That is to say, very severely mentally impaired and musically impaired as well. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier is finally available to all of us, and the third generation builds on the previous generations. The incredible success of those models earned thousands of 5-star reviews on Al Gore's amazing internet. The new Thunderstorm uses 2 technologies. These technologies, studies have shown, help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses floating in the air that you breathe at home, at the office. It also removes dust, by the way, and pet dander and smoke. And more than that, it helps get rid of any stinky odor, smells. No smells, right? And you don't have to buy filters to replace over and over again like you do with so many air purifiers. The Thunderstorm will help get rid of any stinky smell. Talking about trash cans, cigarette smoke, liberal protesters, no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, because we hang out together, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for whole home protection. Your whole home. Put one in your basement, your teenager's room. Any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. Use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS, and the number 3 to save $200 American on 3 Thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Yes, sir. All right, so that's my plan. All right, we've got some names. We're going to start releasing names from the list. Here's the first name, Hakeem Jeffries. I'm just hypothesizing. And I played for you yesterday, Harvard law professor emeritus and lifelong Democrat Alan Dershowitz, who more than a month ago now talked about the Epstein List and what he knows.
Let me tell you, I know for a fact documents are being suppressed. and they're being suppressed to protect individuals. I know the names of the individuals. I know why they're being suppressed. I know who's suppressing them, but I'm bound by confidentiality from a judge and cases, and I can't disclose what I know. But I hand to God, I know the names of people whose files are being suppressed in order to protect them.
All right, let's release one today. Now, here's the thing. Dershowitz, the Dersh, as he's sometimes known, he appeared last night with Fredo Cuomo on News Nation, and it sounded very different last night, what Alan Dershowitz has to say.
Is the government hiding a client list or anything that the Trump administration could release tonight?
Fredo.
No, there is no client list. There never has been a client list.
What? A
client list suggests that Jeffrey Epstein made a list of people to whom he trafficked women. What there is a redacted FBI affidavit from accusers. There are several of them. From accusers that accuse Jeffrey, that accuse various people of having improper sex. And that has been redacted. The names of the people accused have been blacked out.
Names of the people accused, but who blacked them out?
Now, of course, because I was the lawyer and I did all the investigations, I know who all these people are. I could figure out, based on everything that I saw, who Mr. X is, Mr. Y is, and Mr. Z. I can tell you right now, none of them are public figures who are currently in office. Some of them were previously in office. Some of them are dead. But there is no client list.
Isn't that fascinating? Alan Dershowitz last night with Fredo Cuomo on the television. And what is it? Now it's semantics and legalistic semantics. Affidavits, several of them, not one, but a number of them. Names redacted by judges in New York. And the Justice Department can't just release them. I think President Trump needs to come out and drop a bombshell, releasing one name.